problem. And another big problem is our guy, Cavan Biggio, who was our darling. He was so great. I'm going to read some stats for you, okay?
Timeout.
Average, what?
Timeout. No one, it wasn't our darling. You think with us?
He was like one of our young boys.
Kind of agreed with you. Like,
I mean, I've been the critic here.
Okay.
But I'm going to go into some stats here. Okay. Average exit velocity, 26th percentile. Max exit velocity, 17th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 13% percentile. Okay. These are last year's numbers. Okay. Those aren't this year's numbers.
I like how you did that.
You weren't expecting that.
That was like a newscaster there.
Yeah. Those were last year's numbers. And this year's numbers are pretty similar, except exit velocity somehow like 51st percentile. So it's a little higher, but it's still, everything else is around the same. But the big difference is the walks is down slightly from top percentile to like 72%. See, these things, just slight drops. And we see how bad Cavan Biggio has been this year. But we can still hope that this will turn around. Hopefully, it's still early in the year. Positive regression is going to happen, hopefully. But, this production, it's a big we need him to be better, especially with all the other injuries we've had.
And the defense, like he hasn't really worked at third base. Like early in the season, we're like, wow, he makes a lot of the plays, but like, okay, his arm is bad. Like he does not have an arm. But okay, he's getting all these plays. He's looking like a third baseman.
Serviceable.
And you're seeing him miss plays now. It's just this team needs to get healthy. I guess that is really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? Because all the shit I'm complaining about is really just magnified by the fact that you got guys kind of playing out of position and the order isn't as deep as it's supposed to be. And now you have the bullpen that's all messed up, so you kind of have to mix and match, even though the way you mix and match made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all of and again, it's like we talked about how much we all kind of have problems with Charlie's decision making, but all of this is just magnified by the fact that two dudes are hitting. And all of these injuries are also leading to it. So it's, you know what I mean? Like it is positive that you beat the Yankees twice. Like that's great. You know what I mean? Like you've had good series against the Yankees, but you've also looked bad against the Texas Rangers and the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah. Well, the Royals are somehow they're 10-5 somehow, but the Rangers have been a bad team overall.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing about Biggio?
Yeah, go for it.
You remember before he was up, there was all these articles. People were saying how your value for Biggio is at its highest point right now, and it's only going to get lower. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little bit nervous.
See, and the problem is his issue was always hitting velocity, but he walked so much and he played a bunch of different positions. So like he was useful. And when you see him, I guess I guess it's second base too. You could move him around in different shifts, and you're not noticing that his arm, because he doesn't have to have a big arm to just be in the right position and make routine plays, like the right fundamental plays. And he was the same kind of thing in a corner outfield spot. He just made fundamental plays. He wasn't spectacular at it. The fact that he needs to do things that are, you know what I mean? He needs to do things that are like, he needs to make wow moments, like plays that pop, and he's not that type of player. Like that's what you kind of need at third base. You need someone with a big arm or the type of athleticism and agility to get to all of these balls, right? And he just isn't really that. You know what I mean? And I think we're seeing the fact that maybe everyone calling for him to be like the super utility player, maybe that is what he is. Maybe that is what he should be. You know what I mean? Maybe he should be playing first, second, left, right, third base, like randomly. But
yeah, like some of the mistakes were just fundamental though. In that game, it just everything fell apart for him. And I want to put it as like a one game. He had a bad game, but that first one where he couldn't keep that ball in the infield, he couldn't defend the line. The guy should have been at first base. Instead, he gets to second because you don't put your body in front of the ball. That's something I will never forgive, ever. You can't give him second base. That's garbage. Like, you might miss a grounder. That's a physical error. But that's a mental error to not block a ball no matter whatever it takes.
Yeah, the way he tried to, like, slide and just pick it. Like,
yeah, that's lazy.
Yeah. And again, You don't have the fact that he doesn't have the arm to bail him out. He can't take the extra time to get a hold of the ball. Like, so he has to start making those type of plays, right? He had, like, in order for him to make that play, he pretty much has to make that pick play the way he was trying to do it. He can't do the route. You know what I mean? The more that I'm starting to talk this out and think about it, the reason that he's making some of these mistakes, I think, is because he's not a third baseman. He doesn't really have the arm for it, right? Because think about it. Think about that play. That should be a routine. Like, he should have blocked it exactly. And then again, if you can't throw him, you can't get him out. Well, you haven't let the ball get through you. But because he knows he can't throw the guy out if he blocks it at all. He's trying to make that pick play so that he can at least turn and throw and maybe have a chance at it. Like, that's kind of a problem.
You got to change your priorities in that situation. Like, you're not going to get him out. You just got to block the ball.
Yeah. The more I think about it, like, just he's not really a third baseman.
Yeah.
Breaking news.
Right? Like, this is like Semion's been great at second base, but like
I want to say something Steve said before. Sorry to interrupt.
Well,
you said you wanted Vlad at third. That's how bad it's been. We're like maybe back there, you know.
Oh, see that I hadn't brought it up because you shooed that down pretty hard. I did agree with you because before when we were talking at our prep for this, I said I wanted to see Vlad there because he's looked so good at first base. He's looked so good at the plate. He just looks so good. He looks so athletic. You saw him run like Vladdy. Like the way he stretched that into a double yesterday in the double header, like the one where he stretched into a double header, and then he stretched it into a double, and then he managed to score on the sac fly. Like Vlad's always had an arm, so it just makes me interested. And if Rowdy can get hitting, and you can move Rowdy, and then it allows you to move Biggio around, like it's just. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just think of Edwin Encarnacion in my head. I'm like, just don't fuck with him. If he's finally feeling good and he's learning the position now,
and that's why I didn't want to bring it up because you're right there. Because in the perfect situation, right? Like I'm desperate, but in the perfect situation, if you could move him to third and you could have Rowdy and he starts to hit because he's hitting the ball hard, like right, you can see it. It's just. Theo, you're right. We've seen this happen before. Like where a guy's good at a place, you should probably just leave it.
It was more of a condemnation on Biggio and how bad he's been and how anything we're looking at right now could be a solution. But
well, that's what I mean. I'm in desperation mode where I'm just like, can we try this? Like, and Rowdy's hit a couple of baseballs at a couple of games. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to extrapolate and be like, well, when he wasn't hitting, he was still. Like top and exit velocity. Yeah, exactly, right? Like I'm starting to talk myself into him because of this Biggio situation. It's turning into a problem at third base. Like it's almost turning into. Remember when Josh Donaldson couldn't throw the ball at third base, and it was just an issue. It was just that elephant in the room that no one really wanted to talk about. Like this is starting to snowball. Like because it's not just Biggio. It's defense on the whole, and some of the problems that are happening. And then you also look and you're wondering, like, are guys trying to make additional plays because they're thinking, right? Like, is Bo having issues because he's thinking he has to cover for Cavan? You know what I mean? Is all of this kind of domino stuff because you have these problems? And then again, maybe if the offense is going and everyone's hitting, they also just feel better in the field, right? Like, there's so many different issues that are all kind of. And it's also early in the season, so as we're all like I'm yelling about Charlie, that's something that I just very vehemently believe. This is also super small sample size, like in the biggest Wilnerism that we all know, like our fantasy baseball team, our fantasy baseball league. It's early.
Like Biggio's never played third base full time before, so I'm talking right? It's just one game where like just figure it out, move forward, learn from it. Not. I've been the one saying that. You guys are not. I'm the one saying let's take it easy at third base and figure it out. I'm saying
you're more offensively. Okay.
Yeah.
Offensively, yeah.
I'll give you that.
Thank you.